it. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
So the war's over, huh?
I don't know if you heard, but completely unexpected. JD Vance, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner all failed to come to a peace agreement with Iran on Saturday morning. Or I was going to say Saturday morning. They're saying they negotiated for like 20 or 21 straight hours. I've seen both. I don't think that's true. I find it hard to believe they sat there at the table for 20 hours. Like maybe they negotiated a couple different times over the period of 20 hours and they kept both leaving the table and going and huddling elsewhere, then coming back. That might have happened. But
It was probably like 4 hours, and they took a 12-hour break, and then another 4 hours.
That's what I've heard a couple of people on Fox. This was a marathon session. They were at the table for over 20 hours. And I'm like, there's no way of that. I don't even need to hear anything else. No, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
What's weird, okay, I'm going to jump straight into this. The two red lines were apparently, that we say the two red lines they wouldn't give up were the Strait of Hormuz. They want full control over it. I think that could be negotiated. The main thing was we are now saying they can do zero nuclear enrichment. Before, during like the JCPOA and even earlier this year, we were saying, no, 3.67. That's the limit. If you keep it under there, you can use it for civilian nuclear power like power plants. But there's no need to go over 3.67 unless you're trying to create a weapon. That's true. That's 100% true.
Okay.
And we had said that all along, and then Israel got involved, and now our line is zero. You can't even have a civilian nuclear program. You need to go back to using coal and steam or whatever else.
Well, it seems like that's kind of suppressing the people of Iran.
It is, and so there's one of the nuclear treaties that countries that want to have a civilian nuclear program sign that you promise to not go over 3.67, and they signed it. I think they've had a nuclear power plant for like 30 years now or something. Like I think France gave them the technology to like have a nuclear power plant. So they've been in this treaty and they've never been caught going outside of 3.67 until the last like 5 or 6 years when Trump killed the JCPOA, the Obama-Iran deal. And then they openly said, okay, we're going to go above 3.67. And then they did, and they took it all the way to 60%. A lot of people have said that they did that and then they told us about it, basically as a bargaining chip to try to get us to remove sanctions. Because if they were really trying to build a nuke, they wouldn't have told the world, hey, everybody, guess what? We just got up to 60%. Once we get to 93, we can have a bomb. They were openly telling everybody because they wanted to use it as a bargaining chip to get sanctions relief. That seems very plausible. Anyhow, the Trump administration is now trying to say, no. It's always been zero. Like, we never said, because it got pointed out that Bibi got involved, and that's been Israel's red line is 0%. There's a clip real quick of Steve Witkoff, and this is from 5 months ago, but this will just help illustrate my point.
Simple fact. The president means what he says, which is they cannot have a bomb. The conversation with the Iranians will be much about two critical points. One, enrichment. As you mentioned, they do not need to enrich past 3.67%. In some circumstances, they're at 60%. In other circumstances, 20%. That cannot be. And you do not need to run, as they claim, a civil nuclear program where you're enriching past 3.67%. So this is going to be much about verification on the enrichment program, and then ultimately verification on weaponization.
So he said right there, 3.67. You don't need to go any higher than that. That was what we were saying all along until the last, really, we officially changed about 2 weeks ago, where all of a sudden we're saying 0%. They're never going to let that happen. Like that, so we're going to have to back down off of that, or we're just going to keep fighting with them. It's one or the other. So,
yeah.
First of all, Saturday, where were you when you heard that the peace deal hadn't worked and we were giving up on talks?
I don't know. Was that Saturday?
That was Saturday, yeah.
Okay.
Negotiations started Saturday morning, I think like in the middle of the night for us. And then like Saturday around like 6 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time is when we found out. JD came out to the podium. Which
I probably didn't find out about until Sunday morning then.
Okay. Well, let's hear from JD real quick, and then we're going to talk about where we were when it happened.
We've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
This is bad news for the entire world.
Yeah, it's more
I
bad
mean,
news for them. Yeah, the world
yeah,
economy, the markets, everything, the global economy, I guess is the right way to say it. What's
totally.
weird, anytime there's an announcement to be made like this, like the way I expected it would happen was JD, and by the way, JD between 6 and 10 times during the negotiations had to get up, excuse himself from the table, and get up to go call Trump and give Trump a breakdown and see what Trump. So Trump was really the one negotiating. Like a lot of people are saying it's a mistake to send a negotiator that doesn't have the power to make decisions. Like that's like at the table in the moment, you got to be able to hit a deal. So there should be very clear parameters of what we're willing to take and what we're willing to give and blah, blah, blah. And JD
Yeah.
apparently didn't have that power. And he, every time they'd be like, well, would you take this? JD would have to go, I don't know, give me a minute. Let me go call Trump and go in the other room and call Trump about it. So that's the first mess up. But whenever something like this during Trump's term happens, Trump always insists that he's the one that breaks the news. Like he wants to tweet about it or go out on camera. He doesn't let anybody make those announcements, especially like cabinet level people. So it was weird because JD came out and gave that speech, and Trump didn't say anything about it before that, and he didn't say anything after for like an hour. And it was like, it's another one of those like, where's Trump? Like there's been 3 or 4 weekends since he's been president where he's just gone missing. Like he's not on TV, he's not tweeting, and nobody knows where Trump is. And there's always questions
Hmm.
about his medical health. But he was gone for like an hour after that speech. So I was very worried. Never fear. Did you see what Trump was doing on Saturday night?
No.
So Trump and JD show up at UFC on Saturday night. Now, Trump came out and was getting booed. And here's the thing, I heard a couple boos, but I'd say I heard more cheers than boos. But people replayed it, or they compared it to the last time Trump went to UFC. The last time when he walked in, the place went nuts. This time, there were, like I said, there was more cheers than boos, but it was not as raucous as the last time he went to UFC. So that's just weird that the UFC crowd, they weren't as hyped to see him. I still say the majority was hype, but not as hyped.
Yeah.
So
Marco
it,
looks drunk.
Marco looks drunk. So Marco Rubio is there with Trump while negotiations are happening. This is Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State. Like if anybody should have been at that table, it's Marco Rubio. Instead, we've got the VP, and then
Jared Kushner, who
I
is
don't know.
not even a part of the administration whatsoever.
And Steve Witkoff was the special envoy, but you can only be that for like 6 months. So he's not even officially that anymore. I don't know what to call them. That's the American delegation, but I'm struggling. Like two buddies of the president. I mean,
To
anyhow,
Israeli
that's
lobbyists.
why I want to. So again, I'm not trying to be hateful here, but Britain sat in on the very last round of negotiations before this war started, and afterward they said that from their point of view, Kushner and Witkoff were Israeli agents during that interview. Like they were there on behalf of Israel, not America. And Britain said that out loud to reporters. Like they weren't. It wasn't leaked. Like they said that's how they viewed
Whoa,
it. So
that's
scary.
scary. Who's the girl in the background? That blonde girl. She looks familiar.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's Tiffany Trump. That is the daughter
Oh yeah.
of Donald and Marla Maples.
Is she
Which
the one that's is she the one that's dating Tiger Woods?
no, so I might have this wrong, but I think it's Don Jr. His ex-wife is now dating Tiger Woods.
That's right.
I think
Okay.
that's what it is. Which I heard that the other day, and that blew my mind. But
Yeah.
it makes sense. We didn't even talk about this, but when Tiger rolled his car for what is that, like the third or fourth time he's rolled his car drunk?
Yeah.
But on one of the police body cam footages, they're like, sir, you need to come back over here because he'd kind of wandered off. And he comes back over and he's on the phone and he's like, thank you very much, sir. And he hangs up and he's like, sorry, that was the president I was speaking to. Like hoping that the cop would be like, oh, the president? Like,
Yeah.
here, let's let you go. But the cop didn't seem to care. Anyhow, it was just interesting. But
Interesting.
so Trump finally does tweet. He enjoyed UFC. He must have had a tweet in the can, but he did tweet at some point. All right, and I think this was actually the next morning. He said, "So there you have it. The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. Effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. At some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in, all being allowed to go out basis." But Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying there may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody knows about but them. This is world extortion. I'm not going to keep reading all this. It's long. He did say at one point, any Iranian who fires at us or peaceful vessels will be blown to hell. He gets excited about things like that. Blown to hell, and I'm going to beat him like a dog. There's certain things he loves. Anyhow, this seemed counterintuitive to me. So far, what we've done, Iran has blocked the strait, and we have tried to get any ship we can with oil out. In fact, we removed the sanctions on Iranian oil. And if you remember, Scott Bessent went on one of the Sunday morning shows, and they asked him about it. He's like, well, we're doing a little jujitsu on them. We're using their own oil against them. Like their oil will help bring down the cost, so it's good for everybody. And we've abandoned that now. Now, if you're not going to let the other countries out, we're not going to let them out either. Here's where it gets weird. First of all, Trump said several times yesterday and even this morning that we were blockading the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently, generals came out and talked to reporters today and clarified that we're blockading certain Iranian ports. So we're not blockading the Strait of Hormuz, even though Trump keeps saying that. Also, then it came out that we're only going to stop Iranian flagged ships from going in and out. Well, all the ships that have oil are either Pakistan ships or Chinese flagged ships. So those are the ones carrying, and it remains to be seen if we're going to stop them or not. China came out with a long statement. I should have pulled it, but they said, hey, we have a free and fair trade agreement with Iran, and America better not meddle in our trade business or something like that. Like they kind of, whoo. Also, it's been reported this week that China is preparing to send a shipment of shoulder-mounted surface-to-air missiles, the exact kind that took down our F-18 a week or two ago. And they asked Trump about that, and Trump was like, "I did read about that. They better not do it." And it's like, "Oh, dude, they're doing it. Like, I think we should all be prepared." The biggest sign that China, I don't think they're looking for a direct confrontation at all, but I think they're looking to bow up to us. They're going to make us. They're going to put us in a position where it's like, okay, shoot our oil tanker. If you want to shoot it and see what happens. Like they're going to try to play that against us. Somebody pointed this out online, and I've tried really hard to verify it, and it seems true, but I'm like at 99% that this picture is legit. I'd love to find more on it. This is the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C., and the workers at the embassy are putting razor wire up over the fences at the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. Why would they be putting razor wire over their fences, like fortifying their embassy?
They're getting prepared for something.
Heightened tensions at the very least. I saw this in several different places today, but no major publication is talking about it. So I don't know. But also, like, of all the things happening right now, like, why is China fortifying their embassy in DC? They must think that people are about to get mad at them. I don't know. Maybe I'm making too much out of that. But no other embassies. Apparently, all the embassies are kind of tucked in one area, or a lot of them are. And none of them have razor wire up except for China now. So I hope that picture turns out to not be true, because that, of all the things happening, that's the one that I'm kind of like, whoa, like, that's bad. That's very bad. So throwing that out.
Okay.
And then the only other thing, and this made me laugh. Today, while Trump was talking about the blockade, he's still saying the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. At one point, he said other countries will be joining. I think somebody asked him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, other countries will be joining." And then they said which countries? And his answer was better than anything I could have prepared for. Check this out.
Is it your anticipation, Mr. President, that other countries will assist in this effort to blockade Iran and those?
Yeah, other countries are going to also.
Which countries, sir?
We don't need other countries, frankly, but They've offered the services. We'll let it be known probably tomorrow.
Has the blockade started, sir?
Yeah, started 10 o'clock.
We don't need other countries.
Said, yeah, other countries are joining. Which ones? We don't need other countries. What? And then he said he'd let us know tomorrow. What do you want to say? You want to bet anything that he's not? We're never going to find out who the other countries are, and it's just us.
There's no other countries.
On Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, he told Fox News that Britain was preparing to send several of their best warships over to help us. An hour and 20 minutes later, Keir Starmer came out and said, "No, we are not." And it's like, okay, just got caught in a flat out lie there, but whatever. Nobody cares.
So here's the thing. Like, all these countries helped us. All the NATO countries came and helped us like right after 9/11, right?
They helped us in Afghanistan and Iraq. And even they were like, why are we in Iraq? But we were, and they did it for us.
And now we're doing another unjustified war. And the countries are saying, no, we're not going to get involved in an unjustified war with a sovereign country.
Well, and so I'm going to say two things in their defense. Number one, they told us before the writing was on the wall for a while that this was probably going to happen. Remember, for like, what was it, 6 weeks? Every show we were like, well, maybe we're going to attack Iran before the next show,
or maybe we're going to attack Greenland.
Yeah, you never knew. But all these countries were telling us the whole time, like, we don't want any part of this. Like, if you do this, you're on your own. They made that very clear. And then on top of that, he keeps trying to invoke NATO. NATO is a defensive alliance, okay? Article 5 is an attack on one is an attack on all. Like, had Iran sneak attacked us, I'll bet all of NATO would be there to defend us. But we instigated this war. We started it. This is not a defensive war. Article 5 cannot be invoked. So that's my two main points there.
Huh.
I don't blame them at all.
I don't blame them at all either, no. I mean, why would they send their people over there to die?
And on top of that, Trump's threatening all them, and a lot of them are threatening right back. Like, first of all, Spain is flat out like calling Israel like war criminals, and they're calling Netanyahu a war criminal. And Trump said that we might have already done it, but we're cutting off all trade to Spain. We're going to try to like isolate them because they don't agree, which they're not the only ones, though. A couple different South American countries, I think Colombia was one of them. Their presidents are all just calling Netanyahu a war criminal. But when it comes to like defensive stuff, Trump's trying to do this whole, well, maybe we won't sell weapons to them. And I remember like a week or two ago, I showed you where countries that have already paid for weapons from us, we're telling them now, sorry, you're not going to get them, and we're keeping your money.
And we just pulled all of our defensive,
the surface air interceptor missiles.
Defensive surface to air. We pulled it all from North Korea or South Korea.
So. And places in Europe too. We're pulling them everywhere to put them in the Middle East. But
that makes our bases across the world way less safe.
Oh yeah, all these countries are very upset with us right now. Mark Carney from Canada, he had a great speech. I should have pulled part of it, but he was basically saying, for the last several years, 70 cents on every defense dollar we spend goes to the United States, and that stops now. Like, we are not buying weaponry from the United States. Europe, and Trump told them, he's like, you guys need to learn to take care of yourself. You need to start making your own weapons and all that, which our American military industrial complex must have been like, what the hell are you doing? But they're all taking them up on it. They're like, you know what? You're right. We can't depend on America. So everybody's like taking their own thing. Like, France is going to do the nuclear and I think do the fighter jets, like their Rafale fighter jets. England and one other country are going to start mass producing ammo, like missiles, bullets, everything, like all the stuff they normally get from America. They're about to start trying to do on their own. So
the EU is going to kind of team up, and each country is going to start making their own thing. And then,
they're going to kind of do it. What's the word? I can't think. They're going to delegate who's doing what.
I mean, it's just going to make the EU stronger, which is probably really good.
It's great for them, and it's terrible for our like industrial complex, military industrial complex. Which like part of me is like, good, screw them, like the military. But also, that is a huge part of our economy. Like it's terrible, but it's like if that goes under, that will cause a recession. Like that will be a bad deal for America. I'm just saying.
Well, if a child with a baseball bat starts hitting another child unprovoked, you just take the baseball bat away.
Okay, I like I said, my first thought is, oh wow, yeah, that would be awesome if the military industrial complex, I can't say that, if that like crumbles, that would be great. but also it would be like it would cause pain across America to all income groups. Like just throwing that out
Sure.
there. We should be ready
Yeah.
for that. So, um, and then let's talk economy real quick. So that's the state of the war real quick. Is no ceasefire. We're blockading their ports. Surprisingly, not a lot of missiles being fired right now. So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to restart. The 2 week ceasefire we had ends on the 21st, which is about a week from now. So maybe both sides are still honoring the ceasefire. I don't know, but Israel is still hitting Lebanon, so that's upsetting everybody. Let's not get into Israel yet. Um,
Mm.
Trump on Maria Bartiromo. So let's talk economy real quick. He went on Sunday morning, and it was one of
Well,
those.
before we go to economy, hold on.
Go
I
ahead.
want to talk Pete Buttigieg. Did you see
Okay.
him in his interview? He's been on the road lately,
So
and
he's actually going to be in my city this weekend, and it's my damn wife's birthday, and I can't go. I really wanted to go see Pete. It's a shame.
I pulled three clips from this because he just kept destroying them, and he's just on a roll again. I'm super excited to see Pete Buttigieg out there hitting Fox News and CSNBC or whatever it is. Um,
Pete's the best messenger the left has. Him, and I hate to say it, but Greasy Gavin Newsom, they both will go into the lion's den and do incredibly well. Like I got to give him credit for that.
this first clip is he was asked about the administration. The administration was saying they were stopping Iran from having nuclear weapons,
Okay.
and this is Pete's answer.
A huge fail for the White House because they assured us that the nuclear program was obliterated a year ago. Moreover, we've seen that it's possible, or at least it used to be possible, before U.S. credibility was demolished by this White House, to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon through diplomacy. I believe the president started this war because he wanted to. And now we're in a situation where you've got a war that we didn't need to have. Iran has enormous leverage now. Certainly their military has been degraded. But let's be very clear about why the president backed down. Why did the president back down from his demands?
Let's start with
why is the president taking a weaker position than he started with?
Let's start with just the prospect of the war to begin with.
Yeah.
Look, the argument that he started this because he wanted to, there are plenty of people who think there was a very real threat of nuclear. It was presented through intelligence. Israel had an opportunity to really take and strike at this point. And as for diplomacy, that was sunsetting anyway. Anything.
Well, it wasn't sunsetting. It was detonated by the first Trump
knocked out, but it was
administration.
going to sunset if it hadn't already.
And they were lying
detonated.
about everything.
And right, the idea of they had much longer range missiles than they ever admitted
compliance
to.
problems,
We've seen all
for
of that
sure.
play out.
But the point is, they had been stopped from getting anywhere near a nuclear weapon. And last year, the president assured us that he ended their nuclear ambitions. If he wants to come clean with the American people that he failed to do that, then he has to say that before he launches a war.
Democrats at that time said, no, you haven't. And then you haven't.
Clearly he hadn't.
Yeah.
Clearly that he hadn't. So then we needed to go back and take care of it, unless you really think it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
But again, they don't have a nuclear weapon. They weren't about to get a nuclear weapon.
How do you know? Why do you keep saying they weren't about to go? And Steve Witkoff said they had enough fissible material for 11 bombs.
So are you acknowledging the president lied when he said that
I don't
their
know what he
program was
did. No
obliterated?
one knew what happened at
That guy, his name is Joe Kernan. He's on CNBC. I can't remember the name of his show, First Squawk or something. He kills me because he tries to do this whole like, no, I'm not a Republican. I'm unbiased. But like then he always, if you say anything negative about Trump or the administration, he gets really defensive about it. It's like, yeah, I'm on to you, buddy. Right there, the thing that kills me is he said, well, why did Steve Witkoff say that they were close to making a bomb? And what Steve Witkoff said is what they told Witkoff at the last negotiation is they said, hey, we have 60, or what was it? We have 110 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium. If that was 90%, that's enough for 9 bombs or 10 bombs or whatever he said. And then they said, and we're willing to give that to you. We're willing to give it up in return for XYZ, whatever it was. And this is according to Oman and Britain. They said this was the context that was delivered. What Witkoff apparently told Trump is they told me that they already had, or that they're close to having 10 bombs. We have to act fast. Both Oman and Britain came out and said, no. That's not what they were saying. They said, anyhow. That's what irritates me about that. And our media has just kind of run with it and taken Witkoff's word for it. Be like, well, Iran did say that they almost have enough for 10 bombs. It's not
We don't trust
the
Britain.
the tone. Britain and Oman, who both really wanted to see peace come out of this, they both didn't want to see a war here. But it kills me that Witkoff, who gets his intelligence from Bibi, is who we're trusting on all this. It worries me. So
Oh man,
yeah,
it's just it. Yeah. Do you think Pete has a chance? Do you think he'll run again?
I think he could run again. I don't think he has a chance.
Hmm.
I've told
Interesting.
you, I would Pete. I told you back in 2020, Pete was my guy. Like that was my number one. I think Pete would do a fantastic job as president. Unfortunately, I think that there's too many Americans that don't like the thought of a gay guy being president. Like I hate to say that, but I don't feel that way. But I feel like we're not there as a country yet. I'd love to be proven wrong. I think Pete would do a great job as president. Anyhow,
I'd like to see him in there. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Kernan, I love seeing Pete handle him in such a calm, cool manner, just destroying him with facts.
Being knew it was obliterated or not is not the point. If it wasn't obliterated, then you have to do something. You can't go back and say, well, you lied about this,
Joe.
so that we can't actually do
Joe.
what we need to do.
Joe, America is weaker because the president launched
Well,
this war.
that's your opinion. That's not.
No, but it's clear, and I'll tell you why. Because
We had
when
the
Trump,
Secretary of NATO say the world is a safer place. He just said that yesterday.
His job is to butter up the president. But why do you think the president chickened out on his demand? Why do you think the president backed off of his demand? The president
Backed
said
off of which demand?
unconditional surrender. Right now, instead of unconditional surrender, which was the
This
president's
is
demand
not
just
over
1
yet.
month ago.
This is not over yet. Number one. And
Is
we
this
don't-
unconditional surrender?
I don't know what it's going to end up being.
I'll tell you what we've
if
got.
the Strait reopens again and they
Okay,
have no Navy.
So the best
no
case
missiles,
scenario is
no-
the Strait being open. The Strait was open before he started this.
Yeah,
and
but they were
meanwhile,
close to having a nuclear weapon. 11 nuclear weapons.
we had other ways of dealing
Like
with
what? Obama's way?
Well, that worked.
That did not work.
it. Did they get a
were
nuclear
lying
weapon under
into-
Obama? Did they get a
They
nuclear
were
weapon
close
under?
enough within months.
No. And the president, again, assured us the whole point of bombing them last year was to quote unquote
I
obliterate the nuclear
understand that.
program.
I understand that.
And look,
You know where
I'm saying this as somebody who knows what it's like to be sent to war by a U.S. president.
I
And when a
understand.
president sends you to war, when you and your buddies are on that gray tail plane going into a war zone, you do it with some level of confidence, some level of assurance that your chain of command, all the
We're
president
there.
of the United
It
States
doesn't
would
even
not
sound
do
like
this if they didn't
now
have
that
a
we're there.
choice.
Do you hope this has a successful outcome? There were 40,000 Iranians that were slaughtered by the
Right.
same regime.
And this is the
47
other-
years of killing
Exactly.
Americans, stirring trouble all around the world.
And
with
how do you
proxies.
feel about that regime being left intact by this president?
I don't
thought
know
we were
if
getting
that's
rid of
going to
them.
be the case, and I don't
It's
know
the
what
case
might
now.
happen.
It's the
Is that
case
an
now.
argument for?
What kills me there, and there was a lot in that clip, but at the end, Kernan said, we're just months away from them killing 40,000 of their own people. Here's the thing. I don't have any clue how many people died. They had protests, 3 months ago now, 2 months ago. And initially, there were reports that up to 2,000 people were killed in the streets during this protest. And then that number went to 10 almost immediately. And it was like 10,000. And then Trump started saying 20,000, could be 30,000. And the first couple times he said that, everybody was like, well, where's he getting his number? But then the media just started following along 20,000, maybe 30,000. And then Trump bumped it to 40 in the last 2 weeks. And the media's followed along and just said, well, they killed possibly.
Well,
and
I want to
saw-
jump in there real quick
Okay.
because who's paying the media to say that? It's not Trump.
Well,
They're not just following Trump's numbers.
So-
the dark forces behind this whole thing. I guarantee.
And here's the thing. So hold on, and I'll say this: Lindsey Graham, I think last night on Fox said 45,000. It was the first time I've heard anybody say 45. So that's the new number. We'll see if Trump goes with that. But all the intelligence we get about that everything that our government has said about that, the protests that happened, we're getting that information from Mossad, from Israeli intelligence. They have people on the ground in Tehran. And our government will say, if you want to know what's going on in Tehran, you go to Israel. Like they've got their ear to the ground, whatever the saying is. So that's where we're getting all of our numbers and what happened there. It appears there definitely were some deaths. Like I've seen some videos of bodies in the street. I have I have no clue if it was 2,000 or 40,000. It's just weird that the number keeps going up and there has been not any like new evidence that's come out. We're just kind of throwing out numbers.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So I'm looking at Great Britain's intelligent right now. I want to
MI6.
see what another country says. Further targeting, it doesn't say.
One.
They're not giving a number.
Well, you're
Thousands of people have been killed in a brutal crackdown.
And here's the thing, the way we phrase it, and I think anytime you stand up for your government, you should be able to do that without fear of getting harmed. 100%. I want to say that. But the way we keep saying it is these were just peaceful protesters in the street. Israel has come out several times and said that they were shipping arms into those protesters. Iran claims that the protesters opened fire on like local police stations, on government buildings, and that they fired back. Iran is known to be a liar, so I'm not saying you can take that. But if you couple that with Israel bragging about how they were secretly getting guns into the protesters, seems like that's at least a chance. So if protesters that were armed started storming our government buildings, they'd get shot in the street. Like we have free, right to protest, but as soon as you take up arms against the government, you're probably going to get eliminated.
Not really. I mean, how many protesters died on January 6th? And that's the biggest government building you could possibly go in.
So whether or not they were armed, like it seems like there were a handful of them that got caught and arrested and were armed with like a couple had a gun, a lot of like batons, pepper spray, tasers, stuff like that. But if it would be totally different if that same amount of people were storming at the White House with, assault rifles and firing them, they would have gotten mowed down in a heartbeat. So anyhow, do you got anything else on Pete on the economy?
I got one more video on Pete.
All right.
Look, there's no obvious way out now, but I want to make sure that this ends in a way that, first of all, our economy can recover, that we're not paying so much for gas. I mean, right now, oil's $100, jet fuel's $200, gas is over $4, diesel's like $5.50.
You averaged 380 under Biden for 4 years.
Yeah, and when we left, inflation was lower than it is today.
You accounted for 21.5% price increase.
This president took the inflation rate up.
Inflation.
This president took the inflation rate up. It's more than 3% year on year. You saw the numbers just come out. It's more than 3% year on year.
Okay. There's
Isn't it?
PCE, there's core.
It is. The math is direct.
Yeah.
The math is the math.
Look,
It
it couldn't be
fluctuates each
simpler.
month from 2.7 to 3%.
It's higher than when he got here,
it's
Joe.
not 9%.
His central campaign promise was he was going to take inflation and drive it down, and instead he took inflation and it's up.
I thought the Fed
It was 3 when he got here, and now it's more. It could not be simpler than that.
It's around 3.
So I love that clip. You could see Joe Kernan was getting pissed. Like he was not loving anything about that. Let me say this.
He's wrong. He's 100% wrong.
Well, the one point that any Republican has is they can point at inflation got up to 9% under Biden in like 2022. You can point at those COVID recovery years and say, well, look at that. Now, I would argue that, that was the world went through a supply crisis at that point, and inflation was up. And according to everything I've read, America handled that inflation better than almost every other country. Like countries were hitting like 20 and 30% inflation. Apparently the American Rescue Plan and all that supposedly kept us to under 10% inflation, which looked pretty good compared to the rest of the world. Most people don't pay attention to what's going on in the rest of the world, and they just know what's happening here, and their wallet hurt during that time. I get it. It hurt me as well. So we
were raising interest rates, and Trump was calling to lower interest rates at the same time.
And that's how you quash inflation, supposedly, is you raise interest rates. They did all the things they could to try to mitigate the problem. But that's the one thing you can say is, well, inflation got to 9% under, and what do you say? The average gas price was $3.80. Okay, the average was, but during the last year of Biden, it was back down. I think it was like $2.70 or something when he left office. Either way, that sets me up perfectly, though. Do you have anything to say on that? Because we're going to go into what the numbers actually are right now.
Well, let's hear it.
All right. So right now, fourth quarter GDP, 0.5%. Biden's last year was 2.8%. Trump's first year was 2.1%. So in Trump's first year was 0.7% less than Biden's last year. So far, we're not looking. We're starting this first quarter of this year is going to be a war in the Middle East. Gas prices going up, like not going to look good. So we'll see what that looks like. Inflation last read was 3.3%. Biden left office at 2.8%, and Biden's whole last like 18 months, it was ticking down in the right direction every time. There was one point in the middle of 2024 when it did a little tick back up and then started coming back down. But overall going down. So inflation's gone back up. Unemployment 4.4%, was 3.8% when Biden left office.
Okay.
Cost of gas, I didn't even pull the numbers on that. Cost of gas is probably 80 cents higher now, but we are in a Middle East war. Either way, he
we
did
don't
take.
have to be in that Middle East war.
We don't, but he took gas price went down about 30 cents from the day he took office until like this January. Gas price was down about 30 cents, but then the war has knocked it back up $1. So that's where we're at there. Trump went on Maria Bartiromo Sunday morning. It was one of those interviews where to me it was like, this is bad. Like she needs to get him off the air right away. He's not helping himself. But there was one part that's real funny. She asked him about gas prices, and I'm gonna spoil this clip for you. But he said basically, well, I hope they come down. They might be up by the midterms. Who knows? And I just want you to know, the only reason I pull this is watch her face when he says that because it's hysterical to me. It's a face of panic.
They all said, we agree.
So do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be. It could be or the same or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same. I think this won't be that much longer.
It's a little look of panic there.
Oh, shit. So
what are we going to do?
How much longer are Republicans in the House and the Senate going to like just bite their tongue and not really say anything and watch their chances of getting killed in the midterms? They continue to increase because people keep saying, well, if he stops it now, things could be better by the midterms. And they keep extending, well, he's got to do it this week. And then he doesn't. And they say, well, okay, if he does it this week, it could be better by October. And it doesn't seem like we're getting close to stopping it right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll pull a rabbit out of his hat. But right now, it seems like the economy's not going to do good between now and the midterms. Democrats now seem like they're the odds-on favorite to win the Senate. Like, they're definitely going to win the House, but they could win the Senate. Like, this is ridiculous. We'll see.
Let's go. Let's go. And you know, have you seen the infighting within the Democratic Party now? Like they're going out for Hassan Piker. It's crazy, right?
So,
and I think
think
the far left is going to win this.
So here's the thing. I think that's getting stirred up by Republicans are like, oh, we're in turmoil. The Democrats were doing a real good job for most of this time of just sit down and shut up. Don't do anything. Don't like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. Don't even go to the podium. Just shut up and let Trump keep hurting himself. Like if what was that? I showed a magazine cover a couple weeks ago. Hold on, with the leader of China, and it was like never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake or something along those lines. Like Democrats were doing that, and I feel like this is a Republican plan.
But if we had better leadership, we could drive the stake in.
Yes,
we just don't have the leadership that can drive that, right? And so here's my thinking is that we, as far as the left, need to stop voting in these stupid centrist Democrats, the people who think they can reach across the aisle and like poke. You were telling me about a conversation you were having with one of our friends about we need to respect the offices of the presidency. Mm-hmm. They didn't respect the office of the presidency. No, we need to drive this in, and we need to stop reaching across the aisle and stop trying to placate to the radical right.
Here's the thing. I have no problem with your opinion that that's the direction the party needs to go. None at all. Okay. My opinion, I happen to like the centrist candidates a lot better. That's my lane. There's several of them that I think would do. I think Pete would do a great job as president.
He's not that centrist. He's far left. He's as far left as you get.
I disagree. I strongly disagree. Like the far left is further left than I realized it was. And part of that, I will say, is because Hassan Piker came into the news. And I got to tell you, like, I know who he is and what he looks like. I've never really listened to him before. I know very little about what he stands for. So because he was in the news so much, he was on Pod Save America, which is like a liberal podcast. And it was an hour long. And I was like, oh, let me listen to this because I'll figure out who he is. And a lot of the stuff, it was like, okay, they've taken a lot of his comments out of context. And then there's a couple things that he said that you can't Like, he said that America deserved 9/11, and he tried to clean it up. And this was years ago that he said this, and he's come out since and said that he shouldn't have said it. But it's like, that's overall, that's not good. You shouldn't say that. I don't agree with that. But that's the thing is, like, I don't have a problem with him, and I think they've made him out to be a much worse guy than he is. But also, he's further left than me for sure. Like, I don't know that I want Hassan Piker helping dictate like the platform for the Democratic Party. Like, I wouldn't like that. Now, the way I see it is like, this is what primaries are all about, buddy. Like, let's have a primary, and if you want to support your far left and I support a centrist, no matter what happens at the end, whoever wins, everybody needs to coalesce behind that person and be cool with it. But this is what primaries are all about. If the far left, go ahead.
The problem there is that the established Democrats, the ones who are placating to the billionaires and the Israeli government, they have more money than the far left.
I have no problem with getting dark money out of politics. Do it. You know I'm for that.
But at this point, like, they're going to win because they have the money.
So
I think if you put a leftist candidate, I don't want to say far left because there's some crazy shit on the really far left.
Yeah.
But like a Bernie Sanders, took a Bernie Sanders and he put him up against a Hakeem Jeffries or a Chuck Schumer in any race with no money involved. Bernie Sanders' message is going to win every time.
So I think here's the thing is, I think you are not correct today, but what you're saying was correct 6 years ago. In the most recent elections, the DSA candidate, Democratic Socialist of America or whatever, or the candidate that doesn't have the corporate backers, keeps winning all these primaries. This has been almost a nonstop thing over the past couple of years, where the corporate Democrat, the established Democrat, is getting knocked off by somebody we've never heard of who's young, and it's because of social media and YouTube and all these different ways you can get your message out where you don't have to have the money to buy ads on TV. In fact, it seems like buying ads on TV is about the worst use of your money you could do. Like, there's a lot better ways to get your message to the people for cheaper. I honestly think that we're seeing it happen like crazy right now. Like, and it's on the left and the right. I mean, you're seeing the grassroots candidate. Yeah. So, but again, like, I'm all for it. Let's have the fight. And I'm talking 2028 primaries for president, but like, if it comes down to like a Mamdani type versus Pete, or I'll say Amy Klobuchar. Okay. She'll probably try to run again. Like, my pick would be someone more in the Amy Klobuchar lane. But if the Bernie Zoran Mamdani type candidate wins, then I'll have to take a look at it and go, okay, it's this guy versus probably JD Vance. I'll vote for that guy, that far left. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Where we get in trouble is when Biden wins or Hillary wins or whatever, and then perfect one, Hillary in 2016. When Hillary wins, and then the Bernie bros get real butthurt about it, so I'm not going to vote for her, and then they didn't show up, and we can't have that. So fight it out in the primary, come together for the election. Let's do it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah. Getting back real quick to the economy, because this is the whole reason I wanted to talk the economy, is because I found a clip today that was already spliced together and pretty for me that is exactly what I have been thinking about for the past, ever since I saw the Q4 GDP. Check this out real quick.
Okay, the Donald Trump economy. We own the economy in the fourth quarter. But starting the third quarter, you start to feel some Donald Trump. And the fourth quarter, you will feel the power of Donald Trump's economy.
And the one big beautiful bill will start kicking in, I predict, in the fourth quarter.
I'd say we fully wear the fourth quarter, and we may well wear much of the third quarter. But for fourth quarter, for sure.
I believe by the fourth quarter, we're going to see a substantial acceleration.
For sure, the fourth quarter is Donald Trump's quarter, and the third quarter, his policies start to really embed in America.
And I think 2026 could be gangbusters.
Okay, well, we'll have you back definitely to check back in with you.
So for a while there, when the numbers weren't looking too good, they kept saying, oh, this is Biden's economy. This is still Biden's economy. And they all kept saying Q3, really Q4.
Yeah.
You just heard him. That's when Donald Trump's policies are going to take effect. Well, you know what? In Q4, there was no war going on. Like, this was just Donald Trump's policies. Again, 0.5% GDP, 3.3% inflation, unemployment up to 4.4. That's Donald Trump's economy that they said they were going to happily own. And now the next quarter that comes out is going to be wartime quarter. It's not going to look good. I can't wait to hear them try to say this is still Biden's fault somehow. I'm ready for it.
Oh my gosh. When do those numbers come out?
We just got the fourth quarter numbers in the last month, so we got a couple months to go.
Okay.
So, but like I said, it's not, and the new inflation numbers, that'll be.
Why is it taking them so long to get those numbers?
Well, it's quarterly, so we just got the fourth quarter, and then
we should get the first quarter. Yeah.
It takes a while to calculate all that stuff.
Is that normal, or is that just under Trump?
I don't think it's like being delayed by Trump. I think it's probably. I mean, I have no clue what all they have to go back and look at to figure that out. But
okay. And then there's revision, and then the revisions come out.
Yeah, which we just got the final revision. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that was because originally it was like 1.5, something like that, and then they revised it down to 0.7, and then the final revision was down to 0.5. So, anyhow, and
dang, dude.
Trying on the topic of the economy, real quick. Trump is doing whatever he can to get the stock market to go back up. I just thought this was funny. He did a couple tweets like this. I only pulled one of them.
Palantir Technologies has proven to have great war-fighting capabilities and equipment. Just ask our enemies, President DJT.
So the way that he even that's their stock market symbol, PLTR or whatever, whatever it is. That's so he's flat out trying to pump a stock. And he did this for several companies all within an hour of each other, which the president is using his official Twitter, or that's his Truth Social, to try to pump certain stocks like that. We've all gotten so numb to corruption, but
when did he put that out?
Friday, I think.
Okay. Tuesday,
it went up right after he put it out.
Because it went down. Yeah, so Thursday it went down pretty hardcore.
And then
Friday it dropped even more, and then it kind of made a little bounce back. Today it's bouncing back a little bit, but
Yeah. I'll bet his tweet was when that little bounce back started. But anyhow, yeah, he did that he's doing everything he can to keep the stock markets in good shape right now while this is going on. And it's shocking how successful he is. Even today, after announcing the blockade, Saturday, no peace deal. Sunday, we're going to do a blockade. And then today, right before the markets open, Axios, there's a reporter named Barak Ravid. And he is Israeli Axios reporter. And he's always the one that on Sunday night or Monday morning is like, it seems like we might have a peace deal soon. And then the market totally responds. And like clockwork, he puts something out at 7:30 this morning. We might have a peace deal. Anyhow, nobody's buying it. So.
They're buying it. That's the problem.
Yeah, the market is. I think all of us common folk are not buying it anymore.
Yeah.
And then let's take a moment to understand how bad JD is just getting fucked right now. I don't know how else to say it. The vice president. If you're the vice president, everything the president asks you to do, they're setting you up for failure. They never give you an easy thing. They gave Kamala the border. They said she's going to be in charge of immigration, as immigration was terrible. And they put her in charge of it, and she was probably like, "What the hell?" He made JD the fraud czar a couple months ago, and I don't remember ever hearing anything about it. And we'll see if he ever actually does anything.
The fraud czar.
First of all, remember when Trump went JD went to visit the Pope, and then the next day he died. We're not saying that JD had anything to do with it. I'm just saying it looks a little suspicious, just a tad.
Yeah, it's pretty suspicious.
I keep trying to say Trump. JD flies to Hungary in the last week. It was right before he went to the Middle East to do these peace negotiations. He went to Hungary to campaign for Viktor Orban.
Why? Why are we campaigning for another country's president?
This was hysterical in so many ways. So Orban is the Putin aligned dictator of Hungary. He's been reelected, but the way in the past his past two terms, it's gotten way more like a authoritarian rule, and he's cozied up to Putin, and every country in Europe was hoping he would not get reelected, and all of our Republicans in Congress were hoping he wouldn't get reelected. The heads of the Senate Arms Committee and Finance Committee were all putting out statements they did not want him to get. For some reason, Trump and JD, they're on his side. They want him to get elected, opposed to every other Republican. Also, this is weird. CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, they have their big events here in the U.S. They have a CPAC Hungary, and they keep every time they have one here, they bring Viktor Orban over to speak here in America, and then
Isn't that where Elon Musk had the chainsaw?
I think that was at CPAC. I believe you're right.
Wasn't that with Viktor Orban on stage?
No, that was with Javier Milei, the leader of Argentina.
Okay.
But same thing. Anyhow, Vance is there, and what's funny is Vance is on stage holding his hand, waving to the crowd, giving speeches. He called Donald Trump while on stage and like held the phone up to the microphone so Trump could give. And his whole thing was they were mad that all these foreign countries are supposedly interfering in Hungary's election. Like that was what he kept saying. But then we were actively there interfering in their election. Trump tweeted at one point that the day before the election, he said that he is ready to use the full American might of the American economy to help Hungary, but only if Orban gets reelected. And it's like, dude, you just told us you don't have enough money for Medicare and Medicaid because you're busy doing war. And now you're saying you're going to offer America's taxpayers money to help Hungary if Orban wins. Luckily, Orban did not win. He got defeated. Apparently, he got defeated so bad. Everybody was worried he'd try to pull a Trump, like a January 6th type thing, and not leave. He didn't. It was such a bad defeat. He called the guy that night and conceded the election. The new guy's young. He's like 45. I've read a couple of his speeches. He doesn't speak English. But he said that he's already found out that apparently the government of Hungary was paying CPAC to like come and do all this stuff there. So he said that ends now. He said, we're not giving them another cent. They're not welcome in this country. Respect for him on that.
Wow.
What's that?
I said, wow, that's great.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. But I've kind of been realizing like JD, he kind of stayed out of the spotlight for most of the first term. But then in the last couple of weeks, like nothing's gone well. Like the Pope thing happened early on. Orban, they showed the polling when JD went there, Orban's numbers tanked even more. Like we were a drag on them. Like they did not want America telling them who their president's going to be. And then the peace deal didn't go well. I got 2 clips tonight for you from Harry Enton because I know how much you love him. We're going to save the second one for later. But I think you'll enjoy this clip.
So, Vice President Vance, how's he doing? How popular?
Yeah, J.D. Vance is not doing too hot to trot at this point. Look at this. Okay, J.D. Vance's net popularity, this should actually be a plus. There we go. Plus 3 points. Then we go to minus 18 points at this point. That is a 21-point swing in the wrong direction. J.D. Vance started off his vice presidency in plus territory, and now he is in negative territory. Down he goes. J.D. Vance getting dragged down along with the President of the United States.
Where does he run? Maybe along with, maybe because of that. That we don't know that. But where does he rank among other vice presidents?
Yeah, you look at other vice presidents. Look at this. At this point in their vice presidency, historically the worst at this point in a vice presidency. Kamala Harris was at minus 13. Mike Pence was at minus 7. Joe Biden was at plus 4. Dick Cheney was at plus 37. This might be part of a longer trend of vice presidents becoming unpopular, but we can say J.D. Vance is historically the least popular vice president at this point in their vice presidency.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 things. Dick Cheney was at 37.
He shot a guy in the face while he was vice president. I knew that would stick out to you. I don't know what to tell you there. I don't know. Yeah.
And second, so Trump's poll numbers are down. J.D. Vance's poll numbers down, and we went over Melania's poll numbers last time, and she is way down in the polls.
So,
she's the least popular first lady ever.
Well, and Trump is now underwater with white non-college educated men, which that's the last group he had, and now he's only got like 48% approval. He's still almost 50%, but like he needs to win big in that area to have a chance, and he is not doing well. So,
well, he's not up for re-election, hopefully.
Yeah. I'll warn you also though, like when you see like his disapprovals at 35% or 38%, whatever it is, like I got to tell you, 15 to 20% of them, like they're not happy with him now, but when it comes time to vote, they're either not going to vote at all or they're going to say, I can't vote for a Democrat, and they're going to vote Republican anyway. So our best hope is that they don't vote at all, because even though they don't like him, they hate the Democrats more in a lot of
yeah,
so.
That's true.
Anyhow.
That's true. But remember the last time we said there was going to be a blue wave?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was 2020. Or that was 2018, right?
Was it 2018?
Yeah,
Blew away.
2018. And
Okay.
they retook the House, and then they tied in the Senate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now I'll take that. If we because a tie in the Senate goes to whatever party has the presidency, because the vice president is the tiebreaker for the Senate. So if you
Yeah.
just get 50, which honestly, if the Democrats do retake the Senate, it's going to be with 50, maybe 51. But like 50, this is not the year for them in the Senate. I'm just telling you, 2028 is a great year for Democrats in the Senate. 2026, the certain people that are up, it's not the easiest year for them. So 50 would be amazing, is all I'm going to say.
All right. So we got some work to do.
So I do have good news for you. We've talked about this the last couple episodes, and we should stop. But we're going to talk about religion a little bit, and Trump's making us do this. Okay. Before we do this, I've done this once or twice on the show before. But remember Jon Stewart back on the Daily Show back in the day always used to have your moment of Zen.
Yeah.
I have a video that I saw, and I just wanted to show you because I thought it was awesome. And
Zen, huh?
this is a palate cleanse before we get into religion. A little reset here, okay?
Okay.
Enjoy this.
Oh my God! Oh shit, this nigga
I loved that so much. I've watched that 50 times in the last day. I don't know why.
That was good.
The unexpectedness of it is just such a happy video until that last second.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad we could do that. All right. Now, we've talked about this clip a lot. Just to set the stage for me and you both are skeptical that Trump is the most Christian president ever, let alone Christian at all. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
It's kind of shocking to me that people think he's like the most Christian. There's one clip that goes all the way back to 2015 of Trump.
The guy's only stepped foot in a church like 3 times since
he's been president. Yeah. And
for 10 years, the last 10 years.
Yeah. I think it was like one time was for a funeral, and then 2 times he showed up and went through a side door and like walked out on a stage at a church and talked to the crowd, and then walked out and went and played golf. Like, we haven't seen him show up and sit through a Sunday morning church service, I don't think ever since he's been president. But
he also went to the church and held up a Bible upside down.
Yeah, that was outside the church. I'm saying step foot inside of a church. Yeah, he stood in front of it and held the Bible upside down.
But how demonic is that? Like, you go for like a little
for a photo shoot.
For a photo shoot,
yeah,
for a press op or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're holding the Bible upside down. Like,
I can't believe nobody told him. It's an honest mistake, but somebody should have been like, "Sir, the book," and they didn't.
Yeah. But that's just a sign of the times, right?
It is. Me and you saw this coming. The rest of the world should have seen this coming. But here's my favorite clip of Trump ever when it comes to religion.
You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what 1 or 2 of your most favored Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal. So I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible. The whole Bible is an incredible. I joke. Very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
You can tell he's bullshitting.
I'll bet you every dollar that I have that he, at that point in time, he could not name one Bible verse. Like, if you put a gun to his head, he could not have pulled a Bible verse out of his ass.
Probably still can't.
What do you like better, New Testament or Old Testament? He doesn't know the difference. He's like, both. Probably that's equal. Yeah. He doesn't know. The man, it's one of those where I want to pull my hair out sometimes because I'm like, he's clearly a con man. We all see that, right? And then
he
a lot of
put
people
his name on the Bible and is selling them.
Yeah. Which when Megyn Kelly and Alex Jones and Tucker and all them have been flat out saying he's the Antichrist recently. I'm glad to have him on board, but it's been not going well. I don't think all of them have said the Antichrist. A couple of them have. Anyhow, that's where we're at. So just to set the stage there, Trump tweeted out, and in his defense, Sunday night, I saw that there were 3 either cardinals or bishops from the Catholic Church that were on 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes did a whole segment about the Pope versus Trump. The Pope did not want to be a part
Well,
of it.
because in our last episode we talked about how they had the bishops into the Pentagon?
The Pope has been saying that God does not hear the prayers of those who wage war. The Pentagon in January called 3 officials in to the Pentagon and basically berated them and said, "Hey, we have the strongest military in the world, and you better get on our side." And kind of threatened them loosely. I can't remember what it's called, the Avignon Prophecy or something like that. Basically, a period in history where France basically kidnapped the Pope and tortured him and made him do what they wanted. We kind of brought that up just in passing. So, anyhow, these three either cardinals or bishops went on 60 Minutes. That's 60 Minutes to CBS, Paramount. We can't play their clips because they copyright them. But they were basically saying, yeah, the Pope doesn't like war. He thinks we should always try to find a peaceful solution. And they also said the Pope was sending a message by not coming to America for our 250th anniversary when Trump is going to have a UFC fight on the lawn. He's choosing to go to some place where there's a bunch of refugees for that weekend instead of come here. And they did say he's doing that to send a message that he thinks he needs to spend his time with those less fortunate, basically. Trump clearly, he was flying back from Miami to D.C. last night, and he clearly saw the 60 Minutes segment because as soon as he landed, he tweeted out, I'm not going to read.
Hold on. Oh, I got one thing. Trump invited him to a UFC fight?
No, I don't think Trump invited him to that fight, but I think that our government had wanted the Pope to be here for the 250th. I don't know in what capacity, I don't know what for, but they had reached out and wanted to make sure he'd be here for that, and he declined and said he's going to go visit refugees. So, and the things we're going to do for our 250th are all going to be ridiculous. Especially, it's terrible timing. As the country is going to be going through economic hardships, we're going to be doing all this fancy stuff in DC for America's birthday. It's gonna be bad optics, bad messaging. His people should stop him. But Trump's Sunday night tweet: Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. He talks about fear of the Trump administration, but doesn't mention the fear that the Catholic Church and all other Christian organizations had during COVID when they were arresting priests, ministers, and everybody else for holding church services. We're going to get into that in a second. Even when they were going outside and being 10 feet and even 20 feet apart. I like his brother, Louis, a lot more than him because Louis is MAGA. He goes on and on. It's a 2-page tweet. He went on for a while. First of all, the Pope is weak on crime. I didn't know that was the Pope's responsibility. Somebody should tell the Pope. But is crime terrible in the Vatican? I don't really know. Maybe the crime rate is ridiculous, but maybe there's a lot of pickpockets. I don't know. When I think of the Pope, I don't think what is his stance on crime. Trump also, they asked him about it today. He said he was not going to apologize, and he reiterated that Trump is weak on crime and bad on foreign policy, is what he said. So he kind of attacked the Pope, and really, I saw a couple Democrats get a little upset about that and like, oh, look what Trump's doing. But Republicans weren't saying much at that time. And if you remember, do you remember Trump when the first Pope died and they were trying to figure out, not the first Pope, the most recent Pope died, and they were trying to figure out who the next Pope would be. Trump was posting images of himself as Pope, like as a joke.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people were like, hey, that's not cool, but overall, not a whole lot. After that, I can't remember how long after that, but Trump tweets this picture out. I was shocked that evangelical Republicans had a problem with this. For the first time ever, it was like he crossed a line.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
This is the funniest. I don't even want to say funniest. The weird thing about this picture, first of all, I don't know if that's Rob Reiner in the bottom left-hand corner. So people have said it is. They've also said that the guy he's healing looks like a young Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if I see that. Okay. What's interesting to me is above Trump in this picture.
Is that the ballroom?
Is the ballroom in this? I didn't even see. Hold on. Where do you see the ballroom? Yep. Right. Hold on. Wait. I think that is the ballroom over by the Statue of Liberty. The weird
what's behind the jet?
are those more jets behind it? What am I looking at? Are those spaceships?
And I think it's just AI fucked up. Like that one jet looks like it's about to crash into the other jet.
I think so.
Yeah.
The craziest part is above Trump's head, they look like futuristic soldiers, maybe. And the one in the middle, can you tell me what I'm looking at?
That's the Statue of Liberty, right?
That's not the Statue of
That's
Liberty.
the head of the Statue of Liberty.
It's something wearing a crown. That's not the Statue of Liberty crown. And then it almost looks demonic to me. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that does look a little demonic. Whatever's in the top. I mean, this is obviously it was done by AI and somebody just put it together.
He just he retweeted it. Now
look at this guy's hat. It says like plur. And then what's on this guy's army hat? Wisconsin? Is that a Wisconsin symbol?
I have no clue. Yeah, this is bad. Somebody pointed out there's somebody with 6 fingers in here. I can't remember where it was, but somebody pointed that out. Apparently, that's an AI giveaway.
Huh.
Yeah. So anyhow, I will say Trump was in the middle of a tweet storm on this. This is just Trump last night. It was before 9:49. He posted his tweet at the Trump, or I keep saying tweet. He puts it on True Social and people put it on Twitter. But his attack on the Pope, apparently, that was before 9. At 9:49, he posts the AI Jesus photo. At 9:50, he posted a picture of Trump Tower on the moon. 10:10 p.m., he did a meme.
Trump Tower on the moon?
Yeah, I didn't even pull that one. 10:10 was a dumb meme. 10:32 a news clip. 10:53 a news clip. 12:43 a.m. he announced the Strait of Hormuz is blocked. 2:35 a.m. he reposted an article about Biden. 2:36 a.m. an article on the naval blockade. 2:37 something on Swalwell. That's a whole nother one we're going to talk about. 2:37 he also posted the same article about Biden again. 2:38 an article about his ballroom, and then at
same article.
Yeah, he posted the same article about Biden at 2:35 a.m. and 2:37 a.m. 2 minutes apart. 2:38 a.m. an article about his ballroom, and then 4:10 a.m. an article on Iran. When is he sleeping? Like, we need to have a real talk. Like, is he doing all right? Like, is the stress getting to him? I know some people function really well on little sleep, and he seems to be one of those people. But he was up tweeting all night last night, and then he was in front of the cameras today. Also, I think I played the clip for you already, but they were like, "Hey, surprise! The president has a press availability coming up in 10 minutes. Everybody come over here." And the whole news corps, the press corps, was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And they get there, and a DoorDash vehicle with DoorDash written on the side comes pulling up, and this old white lady gets out, and she's got 2 DoorDash McDonald's bags and goes over to like the door to the Oval Office and knocks on it. And then Trump comes out and he's like, "Oh, my DoorDash." And oh, there's the cameras. And it was a paid sponsorship type thing for DoorDash. I don't understand. The lady delivering it, so they're doing this all about no tax on tips. They're trying to draw attention and no tax on tips because it's tax week. Anyhow, what's funny is
but we brought up he was doing a paid ad for the UFC for like 2 of the sponsors for the UFC fight last week.
Yeah, it seems like that normally would not fly, but it seems like we're doing this. So let's say it was a partnership between our government and DoorDash of some kind. Anyhow, the lady that delivers it, he then tries to turn it into a thing, and he's like, "How is no tax on tips helping you?" And she's like, "Oh, it's so great. I'm retired, but I'm doing DoorDash. And like last year, I only made," and I can't remember the number, whatever number she said she made last year would put her in the income bracket where she doesn't pay federal taxes, period. But she was like, "And I saved all my taxes and everybody pointed out the math doesn't work at all. They also found out, they went back and tracked this lady. This lady has made several appearances in random places. She lives in Arkansas. She is a big time Trump supporter. She's a member of like the local Republican groups in Arkansas, but she has been in Nevada in front of like the Nevada House of Representatives or whatever, like testifying on behalf of and they keep changing her appearance. Like her hair is different now.
Oh, look at her.
The tats give it away. In the first picture, you can see the sleeve on her left arm, and then it's just poking out from the bottom of her DoorDash shirt. And they made her hair different, but it's the same lady. I'm trying to remember. I think this picture is when she was in Nevada. But so they just wheel her out and basically, here, you be the old lady that loves Trump here.
And they give her DoorDash grandma shirt. Like,
yeah. At one point, it was funny because at one point Trump turned to her and was like, "What do you think about men playing in women's sports?" And she like goes, I don't have an opinion on that. I'm just here for DoorDash, or I'm here for no tax on tips, or something like that. It was hysterical.
I'm offended on that.
But he didn't sleep at all last night, and then rolled straight into. He was tweeting this morning. He had a DoorDash appearance.
Whose idea was this?
Somebody probably thought it was a great idea. They were like, hey, it's tax week. We got all this bad press about Iran. Let's get it back to the good things. No tax on tips. What can we do? Hey, let's set up a deal where some lady, some Trump voter is going to show up to DoorDash and Trump's going to answer the door. I'm sure
no tax on tips doesn't help anybody but the billionaires.
I have no clue. I have no clue how it's working out. That lady seemed to think it was helping her a lot, but again, she shouldn't have to pay taxes because she's in the lowest tax bracket. Whatever. Anyhow, so that was his tweet storm. What's funny, real quick, of all the people that you would think might come out and defend the Pope, there were some shocking ones, and there were like Matt Walsh, I think, from the Daily Wire was saying things. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants him impeached over it. She's almost gotten a little too nuts for me again. But the president of Iran, I don't know how to say this guy's name, but the president of Iran said, His Holiness Pope Leo XIV, I condemn the insult to your excellency on behalf of the great nation of Iran and declare that the desecration of Jesus, the prophet of peace and brotherhood, is not acceptable to any free person. I wish you glory by Allah. Now, I don't know what your bingo card looks like, but the U.S. president was praising Allah 1 week ago on Easter morning, and the Iranian president is defending the Pope from attacks by the U.S. president. Where are we at, man? Like, what are we doing?
It just keeps getting weirder and weirder. I keep thinking like, oh, it's got to settle down at some point, but it doesn't. It just keeps getting fucking crazier and crazier.
I've told you this, but when we think we have Trump on the ropes, he's backed into a corner, like that's when it gets worse. Like he starts lashing out, and it's never good. If somebody says, "Oh, Trump's really feeling it now. He's backed into a corner," I get scared when I hear that because he's not gonna like quit. He's gonna double down and he's gonna go on the attack.
I'm starting to think those rough heifers actually worked.
They might have. I don't want to go into this, but I had a conversation over the weekend with people who were very biblical, and one of the three knew all about like the prophecies and the third temple and the red heifer and bringing on Armageddon. He was very into it. I think that in his mind, like this would be an awesome thing to have happen. I'm just going to throw that out there. No, I got my next Harry Enton clip for you. This is a funny one to me.
You know, maybe President Trump is jealous of Pope Leo XIV because it is a blowout. It is a blowout, and this is just the American public at large, John. Look at this. It is a blowout on the net popularity rating. Pope Leo XIV at plus 34. Look at where Donald Trump is at minus 12. It's not even close. It's a nearly 50-point blowout amongst the American public at large. Pope Leo XIV absolutely crushing President Trump when it comes to how popular they are, at least as of the last month. And I will note that Pope Leo was the most popular person tested by NBC News. I believe the president is making a humongous mistake going after the most popular guy in America, at least well-known guy.
I want Trump to see that clip. Like I know nobody's going to show him that clip, but like imagine if he saw that, imagine his response. Like, the Pope better duck and cover because Trump's going to come out blazing. Like he's going to be going after him. Oh, that's so funny to me. So thank you, Harry Enton, for that. Also, real quick, did you hear Trump's excuse? So Trump did delete the video or the image of him as Jesus, which can we both agree that in that picture he was supposed to be Jesus?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear Trump's excuse? He deleted it. A lot of people last night and this morning, like evangelical Republicans, were saying he needs to delete it, and he did. They said he needed to delete it and apologize. We all knew he wasn't apologizing, but he did have an excuse. Check it out.
Did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support, and only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
There's no way he thought that was the doctor and not Jesus.
If he did,
if he didn't think that was Jesus, he definitely doesn't know any scriptures in the Bible.
Okay, that yes, and if he didn't see that clearly that was him as Jesus, he needs to be removed. He's past Biden right now. Get him out of there. There's problems, and maybe that does mean he's not sleeping. Maybe his mind's not functioning right. I don't know, but
there's a lady praying in this, hands together, praying in the corner there.
I don't know how it could be any more clear. Like, I'd love to hear somebody try to argue that. Like, no, it wasn't Jesus. It was a doctor.
No,
wearing a robe with light in his palms.
Yeah, light in his palms.
Okay, I guess we're all just going with this.
So crazy.
The next clip I pulled for you simply because I know how much you love when people start speaking in tongues. Just so we're all aware.
Before we get to that, I want to follow up with the Pope again, because after all of this, the Pope came out with a statement. And I tried to pull a clip, but he was very soft-spoken and you couldn't really hear him.
Was it him on the airplane?
This is him on the airplane, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He did say there that he's not afraid of the Trump administration. That was the key thing he said.
Yeah, he says he has no fear of the Trump administration and will continue to speak out against war, including the U.S.-Iran conflict, despite being called weak and terrible by President Trump. The Pope emphasizes his duty to the gospel, promoting peace and dialogue rather than engaging in political debate with Trump.
Well, if Christ were here today, don't you think he'd be anti-war? I mean, just from what we know about the guy from the book, from the book, it seems like he would be looking for a diplomatic solution. It seems like. So it's not like, to me, this is my bad analogy of the day. The Duck Dynasty. Remember that fun show?
Sure.
The grandpa on Duck Dynasty was like a 75, 80-year-old white guy from the South that was also a Baptist preacher most of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point he was like, I don't understand the gay sex thing. I don't know why a guy would want to be gay. And everybody was like, oh my God, he was against gays. Can you believe it? And it's like, yeah, that is the most believable thing. And a 75-year-old white guy from the South that's a Baptist preacher, something tells me he wasn't pro-LGBTQ. Like, that's just, I'm not shocked. Probably. Same thing with the Pope. Like, oh, wait, the Pope thinks we should avoid war? Duh. Like, why is anybody shocked that this is the Pope's stance? I don't understand it. I would think all religious leaders in general would be anti-war. I'm wrong. I get it that I'm wrong. I've started to realize in the past couple of weeks of us talking about this and my algorithm feeding it to me, there is a big difference between New Testament people and Old Testament people. And I think the thing is, a lot of people in America right now are really leaning in on the Old Testament. Like when God...
Hold on, here's the thing, is they're grifting though, because one week they'll lean into the new and the next week they'll lean into the old. And it's like, and they kind of contradict each other. In a lot of ways.
The Old Testament's way different than the New Testament, and it seems like Pete Hegseth is an Old Testament kind of guy. Like, he wants God to guide their bullets and, make their enemies die. I don't know what, I can't remember this.
Heads explode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad stuff. Paula White is her official title is Senior Advisor to the White House Faith Office, but she's his head faith leader, basically. I found a clip of her giving I don't even want to say a sermon. She was speaking on stage at a church. I don't think you could call
Is she the same one that a couple weeks ago she compared Trump to Jesus?
Yes, this is her.
Okay.
You're going to love this video.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa kata rite eke banda ata rike didi ashata. For angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now.
What the fuck is going on?
Dude, why? You know, we both grew up Catholic. We went to the same church. What? I don't know. That's church? Are there people that go to church every week and that's what happens? We need to start.
I hope not.
We need to start seeing what's going on in other churches, because that's not anything like the church that I went to or the churches I've seen in TV on movies and whatnot. Like, what was she doing? I don't know what that was. I'm speechless. Like, I don't know what to call that. That's Trump's.
What'd she say about Africa? They're coming out of Africa?
It went on for like that. I pulled a small part of a much longer thing. She went region by region. They're coming from, the angels are coming from South America. The angels are coming from South America for like 10 times in a row. And then she would name a different part of the world.
And who are the kids walking behind her back and forth?
I think it was the same guy walking back and forth across. I'm not sure who. I don't know. I don't understand what I just saw. I wish I could tell you anything about that. I don't know. I just know that's Trump's faith leader.
That's scary. I mean, and Hegseth's faith leader is scary too. He's a lunatic as well. I don't know if he speaks in tongues, but.
And JD's faith leader is the Pope, and we all know how that's going right now.
We already murdered the first one.
I don't think we can let JD get near this Pope. Anyhow, I will say Republicans are pointing out that apparently Obama is potentially meeting with the Pope in the next couple of weeks, and they are saying that clearly the Democrats are in cahoots with the Pope to try to hurt Republicans heading into the next the midterms. They think this is all a conspiracy, and the Pope's on the Democrat side. I think the Pope generally does not like war and wants to treat refugees better. Like, that's not, again, duh. Like, that seems like what the Pope would want to do. But the two things that he's spoken out against is the way we're treating illegal immigrants here in America. He doesn't like the way we're treating them. And then he thinks that we should not be waging war. Duh. I don't know.
We both grew up Catholic, and that sounds exactly like what the Pope would say and do.
I thought that that's what sounds like every preacher, pastor, faith leader. I thought that was, I'm so confused as to, I guess I didn't realize the world outside of Catholicism was so different. Like, I went to a Catholic church my whole life, and then I'd been to a non-denominational a couple different times. Part of me thinks I need to go into a Baptist church, or, I don't know what Pete Hegseth. I'm going to figure out what Pete Hegseth is. I'm going to go find one of those churches. I want to see what exactly we're doing.
I can only imagine that most churches are full of love and forgiving, but for some reason, the crazy, lunatic, hateful churches have all gathered these people.
Yeah,
these people have congregated in these hateful churches, because
so you're saying
I've heard these preachers talk about killing and murder, and who was the one that was saying that he was talking about somebody needed to die. I forget who it was.
Somebody was saying, but then they tried to rephrase it, and they were like, no. Like, when I say Christ needs to kill him, I mean make him reborn, a born again Christian. And they tried to save it after we talked about it.
Sure.
It seemed wrong. Megyn Kelly is the last clip I'm going to, second to last clip I'm going to play. But Megyn Kelly had an interesting point about Trump with his praise be to Allah and then going after the Pope. This is going to set me up for the next direction we're heading, so get ready.
It's completely inappropriate, and he knows it. I don't know why the president's getting so desperate for attention that he feels the need to mock 1.4 billion Catholics. It's enough, okay? It's enough with this nonsense. I know you love getting a rise out of people. I know you're really enjoying being subversive. You upset all the right people. I get it. But, Why? Last week it was Muslims. Now it's Catholics. Who's next? I bet you it's not going to be the Jews. It's not going to be the Israelis. I promise you that. That's not coming. This is completely wrong. The president should take down that meme. He should apologize, which is something he never, ever does. But he doesn't care. He won't. He's not going to apologize because he's not sorry.
Yeah, the whole time I was just thinking, I wasn't even paying attention. I was just thinking about what it'd be like to be dating her and her just yelling at me like that.
Well, it'd be kind of hot. I mean, Megyn Kelly's still damn attractive. I will
She's
say.
damn attractive.
Yeah.
I'll give you that, yes.
But interesting point. Have you ever thought, like, what would you think if one day he got up and said anything negative about Israel or the Jews? It's never going to happen. Like, he'll go after every religion, but no, not the Jews.
And why? Why?
It's almost like they have some kind of a hold over him. I don't know.
This is the question we've been asking for.
But that's what kills me is like one of the tropes, one of the stereotypes that you can't say is when you mention like, oh, the Jews are a puppet master, that are controlling people. But it's like, like I know we can't say that, but also like, what's going on with Trump? Like, why? I'm not trying to be anti anything. I just
And also on that same note, why is our Congress not enforcing the whatever the act is that we have to that has to go through Congress? A war has to go through Congress.
Well, that, and then also, why isn't anybody upset that Israel has nuclear weapons and has never admitted to it or signed any of the numerous nuclear treaties you have to sign if you have nuclear weapons? And I said Trump, but you could expand that to most of our Congress. Like, what is it that? Why can our elected officials not stand up to one country and one country only? It doesn't make any sense.
90% of our Congress takes money from the
AIPAC,
and Israeli lobby, right?
Well, if you are someone who's pro-Israel and you were worried about Bibi, because I don't know if we've talked about it a couple times, but Bibi still has a trial that keeps getting postponed, and the next day that it was supposed to start was actually this week. I think today was the day that his trial was supposed to resume. But dang it, security concerns.
Security concerns, huh?
This is from Haaretz, a big newspaper in Israel. Netanyahu corruption trial testimony delayed due to security and political reasons. So they've delayed it indefinitely at this point. They haven't named a date yet. Normally they name how long they're going to delay it. But his trial is being delayed because they're in the middle of a war. And you know what? As long as they stay at war, Bibi stays in power and he never goes to jail. Which is I think there's a lot of reasons, but that's one of the reasons that they will not let this end is once it ends, Bibi has to actually go through with his trial. Not going to happen. Yeah. And then crazy. I've mentioned this to you, but I don't know if you've ever seen it. We've talked about the different, I'm trying to think how to say this without getting us in trouble. They're in Tehran, in downtown Tehran in Iran. There was a Jewish synagogue that got blown up by Israel by a missile, I think a week or two ago. I don't know if we played any of that video. But when I saw that, I was like, hold on. There's Jews in Tehran, and apparently, there's a big group of Jews in Tehran, and they get treated really well by the leadership in Iran.
Why would Israel blow up a synagogue?
They claimed they claimed it was an accident or whatever, but like I think they're just shooting missiles into downtown and things get hit. I don't know how exact it is, but I think we talked about this last time. It turns out there's a big Christian population in Iran, and they get treated good. Like there's no issue there. It turns out in a lot of these Middle East countries, there are big Christian populations that get treated just fine. Even the countries we wouldn't think, like Syria, like there's Christians in Syria that have been living for years and everything's going okay. The one country in the Middle East where Christians take a lot of shit is Israel. It's really weird that we don't talk about this.
Let's think about this.
Okay.
Muslims are generally for peace.
Yeah,
the whole Muslim religion is based on peace. They actually practice what they preach for the most part.
I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but I think that the way they differentiate it is Islamic people, Muslims, are for peace. And then I hope I'm getting this right. You have Islamists, and the Islamists are like the fundamental ones that believe in jihad and holy wars and whatnot. And
so it's like Christians and then MAGA Christians.
I guess you could kind of say that. But from what I've seen, there's 2 or 3 billion Muslims in the world. And of that, like a very small percentage, say 10 or 15% of them are like Islamists who are like the radical Islamic terrorism is what we always used to hear. But that's not all. There's way more peaceful than there are. But yes, so just to make that point real quick. In Israel, it's tradition, and they've said this is a tradition that goes back years, that if you're Jewish and you walk by a Christian church, you spit on it. That's been their tradition forever. I've always heard reports that Christians themselves get spit on in Israel, and that's so crazy to me. I'm like, what? Hold on. If that's happening, shouldn't we know about that? Like, I almost wonder, am I getting fed some BS here online, or does that really happen? I found a news clip today that was very interesting to me. This is a short clip, but I want you to see it.
Recently, Israeli Channel 13 reporter Yossi Eli went undercover as a priest for a day. Dressed in a robe, he walked through the old city with Franciscan Father Alberto. In the first 5 minutes, he was spat at 5 times by Orthodox Jewish Israelis.
What?
In the first 5 minutes, he was spit on 5 times.
Oh my God.
That's just like our evangelicals over here have this thing where like we have to side with Israel. Like Israel's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's a reciprocal relationship. Like they don't seem to have a high opinion of Christians. I don't understand this relationship, and I need somebody to make it make sense to me.
We should get my Uncle Junior on again.
Oh God, someone tells me he'd have some wild theories on this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down. I'd love to have, man, I wish I could find like not like just a regular American Jewish person. I want like a Zionist to come on and talk to us about this. I don't know any. We need to find one somehow. Maybe we can get Ben Shapiro to come on. His numbers have apparently cratered to like ungodly beliefs. Like he's only getting like 18,000 views an episode now, which is
whoa.
Those numbers are low. So maybe he'll reach out.
Let's go, Ben. We'll help boost your numbers. You got almost 500 on the last one.
It's like,
by the way, like and subscribe.
Yeah, you can have your 18,000 plus anywhere from 50 to 500 of ours. So perfect. Yeah. So anyhow, that's all I got. I'm out of material for the night. You got anything else?
I do have one last thing. This is about the media being restricted. Have you heard anything? I mean, I think we've talked about this actually. Like the media is restricted in Israel, and actually most of the Mideast right now where they're fighting.
So yeah, like in like Gaza, for example, they will not let reporters into Gaza at all. Now in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and all that, like they're not letting any images out. Like they're like if you're a reporter and you go there and you take pictures of the damage and send them back to America to go out on the media, like you will get arrested for that shit. So yeah, they're definitely a cover up.
Well, here's an interesting video from Israel.
As Israel and the Gulf states are clamping down on the ability of the public or the media to share what's going on. But we did get an interesting kind of clip through Fox News. It kind of gives you an indication of both of those elements. Let's roll this one.
We have sirens in Tel Aviv. Let's go back to correspondent Nate Foy, who is on the ground there. Hi, Nate.
Hey, Martha. So, yeah, as you can hear, the sirens are going off here in Tel Aviv, something that we've seen several times throughout the entire day. And what we could see here momentarily are interceptor missiles fired off. We have seen it right over my shoulder several different times. Again, Iran continues to show an offensive capability, launching missiles at central Israel. We have one interceptor over my shoulder right now. We can't show you because we can't show landmarks, Martha, but something that has really changed here over the past couple days is the use of these cluster munitions by Iran, where the warhead breaks up into several different bomblets, and that's really important because not only does it spread the damage, but it makes it more difficult to defend against.
What's funny is I can tell that you never watch our show. That clip from Fox News, I played that exact clip on our show like within the last week and a half. Maybe 2 weeks. Yeah. So not the Ryan Grimm talk. By the way, love Ryan Grimm. Glad to see him. But the Fox News guy, I played that for you roughly. And that clip is about 2 weeks old. Central Israel has not been taking any incoming fire recently. Like so over the past since the ceasefire, Israel hasn't been taking a lot. There've been a couple of strays. Now, on that point though, The reason that they can't show landmarks, and so half of this makes sense. They're not letting anybody show anything. I think that they should be able to show the damage, like when a missile comes in and hits. But what they don't want is for Iran to be watching TV and to see where the interceptors are launching from. Because Iran's trying to find those interceptors and take those out. So if on Fox News or whatever they're panning over and showing interceptors launching from a certain area, you could look at the buildings around there and know, oh, okay, they have a battery of, Patriot missiles or whatever hiding right here in this civilian area, which if Gaza was doing that, they would say that's wrong because they're using human shields. But that's the reason why. So I get the whole you don't want to see where the interceptors are launching from. Totally get that. But then they take it past that. And what's going on in Tel Aviv is one thing. The fact that they wouldn't let reporters into Gaza for the past 3 years, and then when reporters do go in, they end up getting blown up. Like, that's the big problem.
Yeah, this whole media thing's really bothers me.
Yeah. Also, there's 2 different satellite companies that like put out like open source, like me and you could just hop on and see like the most recent satellite of Dubai or any place in the world. And the US asked them. It seems like we asked and they agreed, but they're not putting out any new satellite imagery of any of those countries that have been affected by this war. So you just can't get it.
They have a blackout on it?
Yep. Yeah, those companies are voluntarily doing it. We asked and they agreed. We didn't make them. They're making that very clear. We didn't make them. So yeah, so there's definitely a media blackout about what the damage is really like. And the New York Times had a deal about like it was like 13 of our bases over there in the Middle East are uninhabitable right now. And they had some pictures of it, but the US came out and was denying it. But like, yeah, we've gotten all of our troops off these bases. The base has been hit really hard. We're not admitting what the damage is. Oh, and to take that a step further, one of our KC-130 Strato tankers, like the big gas station in the sky, flew back in and landed in England today, and cameras got a shot of it. There were patches all over the side from shrapnel holes from it, and they think it was one of the ones that was at our base that got bombed and like shrapnel hit it. But it's just one of those where like, oh wow, that plane got blasted to shit, and we patched it up. The patches were white and the plane was like gray, so you could they stood out like a sore thumb. But it was like, wow, that's a lot of shrapnel damage on that plane. So
the UK's letting us land on their airstrip now?
I believe because that plane was flying back to America to get fixed, so they're not allowing us to do offensive bombing raids from their airstrips. But if we're just passing through, they'll let us. So
interesting.
Yeah. Well, anyhow. That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah. Good luck to us. We have a couple more days of peace, hopefully, and I'm honestly hoping JD or somebody can pull a peace deal out of their hat here. It seems like they're not going to agree to go under 3.67% enriched uranium. Like they've made that very clear, and it seems like Trump and Bibi are not going to allow them to have any at all. And as long as those are the red lines, like we're not going to have peace. Why
would you send JD when you have the greatest deal maker of all time?
Well,
Donald Trump.
They asked for JD apparently because they know that JD is the one guy in the administration that's not really down with this war, so they wanted to deal with him.
But then they sent him with Jared Kushner, and
they didn't want Kushner and Wickoff at all, but we made them go. So the most realistic way that this war ends is that we just kind of stop bombing them, and then there's just like it's kind of like hostilities, and like every now and then we might hit a thing or two, and it'll just go on for years. But like the fighting will kind of die down, but there'll never be like a signed piece of paper saying this war is over. Like we're just gonna kind of stop.
Yeah, and are they still saying that it's not a war?
Yes, and.
So how do you make a peace deal when there's not a war?
Well, a blockade in it, like definitionally, a blockade is an active war, and Trump keeps using the term blockade, and they keep CENTCOM guys. What is the term they keep trying to use? Quarantine. They keep trying to say, no, we're quarantining it because quarantine is not an active war. When we did that to Venezuela, Trump kept saying it was a blockade, and our military kept going out. No, it's a quarantine because if it's a blockade, that means this is a war. Trump doesn't care. He's going to keep saying blockade. So, have a good night, buddy.
All right. Go Pope Leo.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Go Pope. We'll talk to you soon.
Sometimes you eat the bar. Sometimes the bar eats you.